All right, guys, how's everybody doing? It's been a somewhat uneventful week for me. I did end up getting quite a bit of break evens again, just like last week. Nothing insane. So as we could start from top down. The first position I was looking at is UJ. Um, so if you guys are keeping up with like a lot of what we talked about in the past week or so, maybe like past 2, 3 weeks, it's that we had we pretty much swept the daily high, and then the major intraday also created a non-substantial new high, and based on that, then we had an internal sweep that led into a transition to the downside. So because that led into the transition to the downside, then I was pretty much looking at this as solidifying this range. So although there was nothing to play off of here, I was looking at this as a POI for a continuation to the downside. Because if we were to zoom in, I'll show you guys where that was. It's here. I believe it was here. No, sorry, it was here. Um, so if we were to zoom in here, then you guys can pretty much see that this is where the final buy to sell came into play internally. So we're seeing this break of structure as solidification here. And then we're seeing this buy to sell leading as an internal break, although it's not a full break. You can see that the internal break was enough to validate the POI for me. So with the POI then reacting, going through, then I thought I was in the clear because I got the internal transition, which is then based on an external transition, which is that being essentially the sweep here, right? And then this ended up leading us to breaking structure to the downside. So because of that, I just thought we were in the clear. I thought I was pretty much catching an entire reversal here. So the potential was there, the internal transition was there, the external transition was there, but we're also sweeping a daily high, which is very significant, which is this previous high here. So if we're sweeping this previous daily high, and then we have the major intraday transition, and then the intraday slash scalp transition, then I just thought I was in the clear there. And unfortunately, this ended up giving me a decent reaction, but I didn't really have anywhere to take profit. So because I didn't have anywhere to take profit, the only other areas I can take profit are potentially a sell to buy, which is an entire sell to buy. And I didn't consider this to be mitigated, and that barely didn't tap that. So because it didn't tap that, I couldn't really justify a reason for taking partials. So this ended up just coming back up and straight up breaking even, right? Because I'm moving my stop after this breaks. So then obviously my validation is still here. So once this breaks, this is my current range in play. So once that range then creates another leg, which aka breaks this, then I can trail my stop. But you guys know that I'm really just kind of trying to stick to break even these days. And so ended up just breaking even. Is there anything I could have done better there? Maybe the management, but I am chasing reversal at a bigger scale, so I'm not really too bothered with that. So other trade, it was this USD CAD. I was pretty much looking at a overall sweep. Um, that being from range high to low, but then we're also sweeping these internal relative equal highs. So because we're sweeping these relative equal highs, then I'm also seeing this as a fast move to the downside, which confirms the LG. So because that confirms the LG, then really I could even use the entire POI as a potential entry criteria with my TP being at the previous low of the range. Um, why am I not waiting for a second sweep up here? Well, because we have the internal break, so that solidifies the internal range on this time frame, right? And if it was to just break this internal low, then I would probably anticipate it to go higher. But because there's an actual reversal BOS here, then I can justify that is if there is an internal reaction here, then I can take the position to the downside, which is what is happening here. And this one also didn't work out in my favor. You see this one, I think this was last week's trade. Unless no, this is not last week's trade. This is 2 days ago. But yeah, I was pretty much looking at the internal transition here. Took partials here, because that's a clear low that goes into the high. So then I can clearly have a break even, but my trail invalidation just technically here. And then we just had like a big overall push to the upside. So like, what does this mean? Does this mean that we're bullish? Not necessarily, because we broke this. So because we broke this, then we technically have an internal bearish range. So this is actually a premium of that continuation range, right? And this is playing out very nicely. I'm a little bothered about this one, but I didn't see any other opportunity to enter after this, right? So you guys know that USDCAD, we talked about this over the past like couple weeks, but we've just been pretty bearish on every scale. So personally, like I do think, I would hope so, that we get to at least, well, I can pretty much guarantee we're probably gonna take out this low, but I would really like to see this low be taken out. And then after this low is taken out, then we can actually discuss whether there's a transition or anything like that. But just based on the sweep externally, internally, and then there's an internal mitigation range, and then that range caused a sweep. So then this is 100% going here, right? So that's my target for the next like week or so. And then within the next month or so, I mean, next, let's just say 2-3 months, I would like to see this be swept. So unfortunately, that position broke me even there. And then we had another move here, but I just didn't see any entry here. Like if anything, we're confirmed to be bearish again internally, because it's still a bullish break. So we have internal bullish structure, right? It's not until excuse me. Um, it's not until we see the reaction lead into a full failure that I can justify this to go lower. So if I'm to look at this for like next week, then I would want to see a recovery back up here, and then maybe a transition, and then we go lower. That'd be cool. Last one. This one I'm in right now. This one I took late New York. I mean late London last night, or mid London, I guess. Um, Here, or pretty much on London Open. Sorry, I was looking at a continuation to the downside with AU. I don't really look at this pair much anymore, but I saw the setup and it looked nice, so I didn't see why not. So the gist of this trade is, clearly we have a bearish range. Clearly we came back to 70% retracement. Clearly there's a transition, and then that transition came to be mitigated, right? That's in play. Therefore, my overall target is technically here from a grand scheme. But because of the timing right here, so let's consider this mitigation or just this recovery into a premium of high low to be the present range here. So we have an external range, we have an internal range in play. And based on that, we have a CBOS internally. And so I'm anticipating that if we are to break this internal low, that we would technically have a position to mitigate, or a buy to sell to mitigate, to then go lower. And just so you guys can reference, I'm referencing 1, 2, 3 levels of structure here. Full external range, internal range in play, and then the internal transition of that internal range. 3 levels of structure. And that one is still in play. But it looks like it's going to break me even. So this is what I was looking for now, because technically we're also seeing this create a sweep, and then we failed to go higher again, and then we had a very convincing bearish leg. This is the bearish range that's in play for me. So I'm still relatively confident this will probably go lower next week. The only way that I become fully invalid with this bearish bias is, let me delete this so I can show you guys the entry. There. I'll go over the entry here in a bit once more, but The only thing that will invalidate me here is if we're to break this high. If we're to break this high, then okay, now we have a failure because we have a sell to buy failure. And then I would hope that we recover into the sell to buy, and then we get a transition to then go higher, right? That's what would invalidate me and make me be bearish. I mean, bullish, sorry. But until then, I'm still technically bearish. Technically, like I can't not be bearish. Or I can't be bullish right now just based on what we're seeing. But as you guys can see, my entry was M5, I believe. M3 looks better here. Yeah. So my entry was we have a internal range to the upside. And because we had the reaction lead to the failure, then I consider that structural disruption. So I'm now using the entire buy to sell because of the internal failure as a protocol to go lower. So we have structural disruption internally, but I'm just using the entire buy to sell. Right. Simple way to put it. And so from here, the only thing it did miss out on my first TP, like pretty probably pretty much by like 2-3 pips. And this is something that I do preach to you guys about, which is either trailing your stop when once you're so close to a TP, then trailing your stop. But my TP is here, so I didn't trail my stop immediately. Like I should be technically, since I usually take two positions now, since I have a second position, I should be trailing that second position immediately just to evade full break even and get something out of it. But that's actually a bit different from doing what we were doing with just the main position, because the main position or the main objective of trailing your stop there is for the full TP. But since I have two TPs, then I should be doing it for two TPs. Right? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Oh, sorry guys. You got to trail? No, I don't necessarily have to trail. Is it quiet? Oh, it sounds fine on your end. Turn the volume up, bro. Are you looking for more swing positions? I mean, here's I'll come back to that question, but let's just finish this one up first. Sorry, I didn't see you guys' messages. Sorry. Yeah, you got to trail. I mean, I don't necessarily have to trail because there are scenarios the trailed where the trailed stop will, let's say I'm trailing my stop here because we have a break, and then we have a trailed stop there. So I could change the trailed stop protocol to where it's LG, and then I can have that, which is fair as well. But the reason why I have the break even and the partial system is because I get the best of both worlds. Because, for example, if this becomes, let's say there's a protocol where this becomes bullish after this break, then because this becomes bullish after this break, that means that doesn't necessarily account the factor that this could immediately convert back to being bearish, and then you go lower. So now my trailed stop got invalidated, but then we got another bearish opportunity. So do I want to take more risk on the bearish opportunity, or do I just want to preserve my initial risk and hopefully have more and hopefully wait for this to hit our target? Because at the end of the day, I'm taking the position if I have conviction in the position. So I just think it's the best of both worlds if I do the break even, plus maybe adding a bit more partials, right? Um, I just see that as the best of both worlds. Also for USD pairs you traded was in New York or Asia session. I don't really trade Asia session outside of UJ. I I've told you guys why for that before. Uh, but yeah, see, like right now, like we can see this play out if I'm gonna get broken even or not. It's like we technically just try it on. Hold on. Technically, right, we have a dual sweep in play. So because we have a dual sweep in play, right, and then this ends up doing like a 15-minute engulfing, that could be an implied sweep. Actually, no, there's no engulfing there. See, so like technically from here, if there's a dual sweep and this low is to be broken, then I am technically once again bearish. because technically I could say that this break of structure leads us to become bullish internally, but that could easily convert back to being bearish if this breaks, which would validate a sweep, right? But because I'm at a break even protocol, that wouldn't, like, this is not going to take me out, like I'm still going to end up winning in the end. So I'm just willing to take that risk more than trailing my stop, having that potentially fail, and then seeing my move play out. Like I would much rather have this type of situation play out. The whole UCAD situation. I would much rather have something like this occur where I am just wrong, but then I'm right. Because this just to me shows that my execution was good, but my timing of the execution was not good. Whereas with this one, if we are to never break even, if I'm to never break even in the situation, then that means that my timing was good on top of the directional bias. Like I would much rather lose the UCAD scenario than optimize this AU scenario. It just makes a lot more sense to me, right? Yeah, any questions, guys? At the same time, though, this is like this is a pretty big engulfing candle. So I just hope that we're either down here when market closes or I just break even. But if we are to break this high again, or if we're to engulf, then I think we'll probably think I will break even. But yeah, I'm still working on some apps too, guys. I'm trying to since I've been doing all this vibe coding stuff with AI guys, really cool. I'm kind of able to solve my own problems that I used to have. Like you guys know how like content was like back before there was so much content, so many mentors, there was so much like there's such a big demand for a way of not having your videos be like downloaded or like replayed or like screen recorded. And there was also like an issue back then with like even screen recording itself, like making videos, like was a bit difficult with the softwares available back then. Like now I can actually build this stuff myself. So I'm gonna see what I can build. Like I'm trying to build a trading journal, and if I can make that trading journal like the closest thing possible to free, then that would be cool. Um, and then I have like an AI like fundamental platform, kind of like the ones these people have been making. I made one that's very similar, and it's actually not as complicated as I thought it was. What are your plans with RCV trading bot? Um, it's been doing pretty good, bro. Let me see. So like, I'm already like in talks with some entities. I don't know, like I don't really care for like the whole. So this is my main one. This is like where we have fun and stuff. So like after we did the big withdrawal, we just like use this account. So we go from back testing to this account to test in live markets, and then we go into the main, or we go into the actual main account, which is this one. Mm, like I'm gonna have like I'm not gonna sell it if like that's what people are wondering. Like I would never sell this because for one, you wouldn't be able to operate it how we operate it. Two, um, putting this on a copy trader is a bit of a pain in the ass because these bots require a lot of capital. So like if and not to mention I don't want to deal with people with who are dealing with like less than $1,000. Like respectfully, I just don't want to deal with that. it's just a lot easier to deal with people with a lot of money. So I don't know if I want to make this like a public thing. But I mean, for now, I'm just gonna keep building more strategies, letting this grow, and see what these like entities and like brokers can offer me. Because I could probably trade on the back end for them. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely like like I will have like an opportunity for people, even if you can't use it itself. Like, let's say you know people that can't that do have that kind of money or something like that. Mm. And then there is a world where you could be associated by affiliation. Let's say somebody's hooks up to our copy trader on X broker, and but also the thing is like this would be very difficult for like U.S. clients because since I'm a dual citizen, I can have accounts. Um, I can have different. Or I could have like offshore regulated brokers. Like I can anything with an ASIC license and stuff like that. So if you're not a U.S. client and you do have access to a lot of money and you do have access to people, then there's a world where I can associate you by affiliation. Would I make it available to RCV members? Probably not. It's not an RCV product. But I mean, if they want to be a part of it, then I'll give them better benefits, sure. But it's not an RCV product. Like I'm not advertising it. You know what I mean? As like a as like even an RCV thing. It's on my account, sure, but um, but this is like its own thing. But yeah, let's see. There's some messages in the Discord, I think. But yeah, no, I would never do no static fee. I would never do no subscription for this. It would have to be PAM service, MAM service, or copy trading service. Let's see. Where's my Discord? But I did see some guys like I'm associated to some people. Really interesting stuff. Like I saw this whole project get built on the back end, and I have a lot of my friends that are advertising it, and I might do something similar. If you guys want to check them out. Oh, wrong one. Whoops. Sorry, guys. Some stuff is working in the background. Um, they actually have their own like automated strategies, which is really cool. Um, it's the right one. I don't think it's the right one. Oh, excuse me. I'm looking for a looking for this exact chart I was looking at yesterday. Give me a sec. It's in my FX book. But yeah, they have like their own strategies. Really interesting stuff. They have like their own strategies um and they ended up building a platform that has like I don't think they're technically AI, but like they have like the AI stamp on it, and they pretty much have like a strategy where they have people who invest in the strategies like through their platform. Oh, sorry guys. Um, they have like a strategy where they like have people that invest in like a copy trading service through X broker, and because of that, then they um use that as like leverage to build the brand itself, and then they're gonna have like buyback programs, and it's pretty interesting stuff. But I don't know if I would do something like that. It's not really my space, but they're seeing some pretty good success, and I'm really happy for them. If you guys want to check them out, I don't have any money in it, but I just thought it was a cool project, and I saw it be built in the back end, and I just thought it was cool. I can't find this chart though. What the fuck? Like, there's an actual. This is not the right one though. This isn't the right one. Hmm. Anyways, yeah, it's just I don't want to get too deep into it. I can't find that chart I was looking at yesterday. Um, I think I know it's in my text somewhere, but I don't want to show my text. No, I'm not gonna do that. Anyways, let's go ahead and look at some case studies and then wrap up for today. Okay, so we are bearish. Sure. I like this. This is a pretty good sweep, engulfing. Very nice. Continuation to the downside. I like this to the upside. I like this to the upside because of high momentum. Ah, this is much better. Okay. So you see, this is why I liked upside, high momentum here. And so therefore you had a bullish reaction. So because that bullish reaction failed, then you're not bearish. This is good. This is very good. Very good. Okay, this ended up where did this end up hitting stop? So the entry was good. Then you hit this. And then obviously there's a transition. So the transition then invalidates your move. And then that transition just shows you that this timing was wrong. The execution wasn't necessarily wrong, but the timing of this position was wrong. I like the engulfing. I see the idea. I like it, especially because you're seeing a failure in this, right? The failure to continue higher. So the entry is good, but the timing is clearly not good. And I don't think there's even an opportunity to enter here. 2. I promise I didn't see the first target. Also, by the way, if you're seeing this, like you see how they're disproportionate, if you lower the size by like 1, just like lower the sizing by 1, then you'll see your candles will look a lot cleaner. Just FYI. So I don't have enough data here. It looks like there's a bearish move, but the buy to sell to buy, sorry, is in play. Okay, this makes more sense. So bearish trend, sweep. This is great. This is very good. Internal transition, external target. No need to be fully greedy. There has to be a lot that goes in your favor based on this timing for you to hit here. So this is a perfect target. And the execution itself, let's look at the entry now. I don't like the entry just because I don't like this. Like maybe if he would have swept and then broken here, then we have like a full POI to play off of. But there's just like a triangle here. I don't see. I don't really like the entry. Maybe there was a better entry after that to then aim for here. Oh, what the hell? Yeah, I don't know why these are popping up like that. 1 second. Okay, much better. Okay, clearly bearish. This is also one issue with USD right now. Like a lot of these pairs are like very overextended. So like you might see like internal continuations not work, which isn't a model thing. It's a environment thing. I don't know if you guys are noticing that as well, but okay. I wouldn't break even here so fast. But I also don't like the entry either. Like I just uh I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I don't like high momentum. Like especially because we're so overextended. Like I want to see the external have a CBOS. And then if there's a reversal, which would cause it to be a sweep, but a external continuation, then only after that would it make a little bit more sense for me to want to sell. But right here, like it clearly looks like we're still technically bullish. So I would anticipate that, especially after this momentum here. This looks like maybe like a daily bullish wick or something. If this is this is the M5, sorry. I thought it was H1. But no, it's maybe it's like a H4 bullish wick or wick, especially when the momentum is as fast. And yeah, I don't like the entry either. Like I said, it looks like internal is there, CBOS, continuation. If that CBOS leads to break, sweep, and then this breaks, then you have a position. But if not, this is way too early. Definition of early and slow entries. I don't know what you mean by slow entry. Early, early is like this, like my position. This shows I was too early. Whereas if I look for a sell position here, then I have the entire range. Whereas here, the entire range, with my position, the entire range is not technically solidified yet. But the only thing I didn't like either was there was not really a POI to play off of here. But this is what I would categorize as like early. And then late is like you're trying to sell here. Like you're trying to sell here. Like if you're overextended, if you're in some type of discounted aspect of any range, then you're probably too late. That's why I look for things to fail, because that means I'm catching a transition. Whereas if I'm looking for the trend to fully establish itself, then even if I look for the failure internally here, it depends on where this is on a grander scheme, whether it's that way or that way, that this is much more valid for me. Because like I could have the internal failure, but because the external is overextended, then this could still fail, and then it would go my favor because this solidifies the whole range. And so then if this is to have the failure, then that's a sweep. But it's not because it's a sweep, it's because we've solidified the entire range, and then this is showing me that this is the beginning of the next continuation. And I can at the bare minimum aim for here. I like this entry. I just don't like, actually, I like the scenario. I don't like the entry. If you have already mitigated this POI here, then I don't understand how we can then sell again from there. Like these, let's get something straight, guys. Like this buy to sell was not mitigated here. What's being mitigated here is the internal move. If we have a solidified range, which is defined by high into low, and the CBOS is there, then that range is solidified. That's why I can reference the buy to sell that led to the creation of the move. Let me use a different color. I can use this reference point here, all right? I can use the reference point, but this is not a zone. Like this is not like a zone where things can tap multiple times and go and it's still being valid, because I just that's just one of those things I don't agree with or believe in with the methodology that we trade or the approach that we take. If this is mitigated and then is to come mitigate again, then we consider that to be weak order flow. But it's different if it mitigates the open and then it comes mitigates the 50% and then it sweeps, because that's a completely different scenario. But if you're trying to play the same zone tapping twice, I just don't agree with that. Is it right or wrong? That's for you to know. Like it's for you to find out, right? But it just doesn't make sense to me. Like I don't know what definition would make sense for me at that point that wouldn't contradict any of my other concepts. So I don't know. This just doesn't make sense for me to take the same zone. Um, you know what? I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna do this. This is easier. Okay, so I have this transition, then we have this break, but that's not what you're looking at here. Okay. I actually did anticipate this to be bullish at the time. I think that's what you're inferring here. I did anticipate that just because of the momentum. And the only thing holding this back was the fact that we did not break the structure. We mitigated. That was the only thing holding me back from wanting to buy. Because technically it looks bullish, yeah. So if I was to have wanted to be bullish, I think here 100%, I would have needed this to have broken. And then maybe it don't give me that deep of a pullback. And then we go higher. Right. That's probably what would have been my ideal buy scenario. But because we mitigated, and then there's a mitigation here too, like it looks more. I wouldn't be more surprised if this failed. But I do see why you're bullish here. Oh, very nice, very nice, very nice, nice, nice. This is good. I like this. This is good. CBOS that led to the failure. This is very good. So this failure is essentially showing to you that this pullback is not going to hold. That's pretty much the failure of this whole bullish scenario. This is very good, bro. This is how you get these super high risk to reward trades. Um, so pretty much, I'm assuming that the failure was like here, right?
Yeah, that's where I noticed the failure.
Where did the failure get confirmed? Here or here?
Do you mind dropping back to M1?
Uh-huh. Tell me where that is. Oh, so that's here.
That is there, exactly.
Okay, okay, okay. So your whole failure was okay, okay. This is actually semi aggressive, but I don't disagree with it because it makes sense. There's internal move here. You can say that there's unwillingness at the top, but that's kind of irrelevant. What's relevant here is the fact that you failed and then you have the buy to sell. So it's very good. The entry itself is perfect. Um, will I say the timing is perfect? Not not necessarily, just because there's like two contradicting factors, which is high bullish momentum, but unwillingness. So there's like it could go both ways essentially. But the entry itself is very good. Okay, mitigation, mitigate, mitigation. This is still bullish. This is still bullish. So I would need a transition to then go lower. See, bingo, transition. So this is still technically bullish, but if you get a transition, then you get a perfect trade. Very good, bro. It's like you guys are able to read my mind now. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So you're trying to catch a failure of an internal range to catch expansion of an external range. I mean, ideally, I want to catch a failure on an external and a failure on an internal. I want to catch a failure here, which is the external, and then catch a failure on the internal as well, because then technically I could aim for here, and that's how you get like high risk to reward. But like something that I think might confuse people is like I say internal external a lot, but it's a bit contradictive because we deal with like 3 to 4 levels of structure. So I don't know if I need to change the terminology on that. Like how we said with that one scenario, which one was it? I think it was UCAD. We were talking about this earlier where it's like, look, if I'm looking at this AU scenario, right, that we talked about, right? This is overextended on a bullish sense. I say that because we're starting to see a range after a big bullish move, right? The fact that we swept is an extra, but actually, no, this is still a valid sweep. Why? Because it's still within the threshold. Like you guys know, if you guys have the sweep blueprint, you guys know it's like a 30% threshold for the sweep. If you guys want that, here you go, 33%. So it's within the threshold of a sweep. So because it's within a threshold of a sweep, and we're starting to see the failure, this is one level of structure. This is a very higher time frame level of structure. I'll do H1. But then with the scenario itself, for me to look for the sell, I'm looking at. Let me see if I could do different colors for this. The overall is technically bullish, right? The internal is technically bearish, right? Level that would be 2 levels. Then there's level 3, which is the internal of that, right? Which this is technically I'm anticipating to go lower, which is bearish, right? Because that's this level of structure. So I'm anticipating this to aim for here. But then I'm also dealing with like the internal level of structure, which is where I took my entry. So it's 4 levels, right? That I'm automatically talking about. And it's people find it a bit difficult to categorize like internal, external. So just know that there's multiple internals, multiple externals. So I would classify, but the general sense is the internal is here, the external is here. Just because there's an external of an external, that's still external. So I don't know. I don't know if I need to change the terminology on that, um, or stuff like that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it contradictive? Is it a bit confusing at times? Bit confusing. I mean, you're new, bro. You're new. Like, I wouldn't. This is more so a question for like Brian. Sally, you've been here for a while. I think. I think Hamilton's been here for a while. Yeah, if you're new, obviously, no matter what, this is all going to be confusing. But like, that's the thing too, bro. It's just like the markets are meant to be confusing. The reason why you're bullish is also the reason why you're bearish. Because internal creates external, then external creates internal. I just I just need to get better maybe at explaining it maybe a little bit better. But like at the same time, I could go like in a big rabbit hole. Like the ability to articulate is actually very difficult and it's like incomplete within our language. There is no absolute way to articulate any idea. So put that on top of the fact that we have a fractal market that contradicts itself, but it has patterns because it contradicts itself. Just because my models are failures of things, right? Those failures are necessary to create a trend. This must fail to create a pullback to solidify the whole thing. This must fail to continue a trend. It's an inception, yeah, but it's fucked. It's fucked. Totally fucked. Like you need the failure, like you need things to fail against each other for it to create a trend. If not, there is no trend. If not, it's just random, and it would go in different directions. But because it fails from up and down, then you create a trend. If not, it would go like this. But this doesn't make sense based on the dimensions present, right? So the reason that it's contradictive is also the reason why it works. But that's the whole thing. You feel me? I don't know how to explain that. Maybe there's like a term for it. I don't know if it's paradoxical or not. I like the word, but I don't really know what it means. But yeah, you guys think this is gonna win or not? Yeah, like I need this to like go. I need this to go now. Like if this ends up like breaking here, GG. Eh, nah. Yeah, nah. There's still nothing. There's still nothing for me to consider this valid for like an implied sweep POV, engulfing POV. But yeah, guys, any more questions, concerns? Because I gotta hop off here in like 5 minutes. I got a meeting here in like 10 minutes. Macro concept for someone who doesn't trade FX. This isn't. Oh, that's a. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. The outcome of your trade. Well, bro, did you send the chart or did I miss it? Is this the outcome of your trade? Like the outcome is good, bro. Don't get me wrong. This is what I made. This is what you were talking about. This is what you're talking about, right? Yeah, like I like the scenario. Like the scenario makes sense because you're catching a trend. You know what I mean? But the entry doesn't make sense to me because like for it to retap a zone, like it just if I was to accept that rule, it would contradict a lot of my other rules. It would contradict weak order flow. Um, for the mainly is like the main one, right? Because clearly we don't want a lot of mitigations in a zone, and we don't want a lot of mitigations in general because that would signify weak order flow, which would mean we could anticipate the move to the upside. This is like a behavioral thing, though. You don't really trade this; you just see this as an observation. And then if there's like a move here based on a POI that makes sense, then you take the move. But the entry itself, I just don't like. Like if you would have entered here and then it came back to tap you again, that's different, right? But because you're taking it on the second tap, that is like the issue for me, right? But hold on, let me make a call real quick. Hold on. Hopefully you guys can hear this. Ah, oh, bastard. It's calling Lex. There's someone who doesn't trade FX. Hopefully he answers. All right, yeah, I don't think he's gonna answer, but I was gonna ask him about what you just said, Brian. But oh well. But yeah, guys, I do have to hop off here. We'll see how this AU trade plays out. Oh yeah, that's not good. It's not good at all. It looks like this is gonna break even. That's not good at all. So I'm gonna need this to like, you know, I'm gonna need to pray that supported resistance works for once, please, and just die. But it doesn't look like it's gonna work. If this ends up like coming back up, breaking this, then I'll probably go for my break even. But yeah, other than that, guys, I'll see you guys next week.